Trita Parsi, Treacherous Alliance, the secret dealings of Israel, Iran, and the United States. Dive into the intricate world of politics and diplomacy in the Middle East through the summary of A Treacherous Alliance, the secret dealings of Israel, Iran, and the United States. Authored by Trita Parsi, this book closely examines the complex relationship between these three states. Unveiling the facade of ideological wars, the book reveals the true driving forces of regional superiority. Discover the historical context of Iran and Israel's diplomatic strategies, their cooperation and conflicts over the years, and the impact of the United States' involvement in the region. Enrich your understanding of the key factors shaping the contemporary Middle Eastern landscape, essential for both avid followers of the region and those eager to understand the broader implications of these international connections.
Israel and Iran, an ideological battle. The conflict between Israel and Iran began after the Cold War and has since become increasingly complex. Both sides frame the dispute as an ideological clash, with Israel viewing Iran as a radical Islamic state that cannot responsibly manage nuclear materials. Iran, on the other hand, rejects Israel's right to exist. Both are driven by a desire for regional supremacy. Behind these threats and sound bites lies not only a political and strategic reality but also a human reality of millennia-old Iranian-Jewish friendship. While Israel and Iran have escalated their rhetoric to include the threat of attacks, their heated slogans negate centuries of Jewish-Iranian political, social, and strategic relations. Jews have been living within the present-day Iran region for 800 years, and King Cyrus himself liberated the Jews from Babylonian captivity. Persian Zoroastrians contributed pivotal monotheistic ideas to Judaic thought, including demonology, angelology, heaven and hell, proving that Israel and Iran's relationship exists at different levels. Iran is independent and self-reliant, seeing itself as anything but Arab, as its Persian culture and history predate Islam. Although some 200,000 Iranian Jews and their descendants now live in Israel, Iran itself is still the home of an estimated 25,000 Jewish people. Israel has always been known for pitting democracy against the most radical, anti-West theocracy. It claims that the mad mullahs governing Iran intend to utilize radical Islam to establish common ground among Arabs and then eliminate Israel. Meanwhile, Iran accuses Israel of disregarding UN resolutions, disrespecting Islam, and grabbing land. In their efforts to redefine Middle Eastern political power, Israel and Iran have escalated their rhetoric to include the threat of attacks. Their heated slogans belie centuries of political, social and strategic Jewish-Iranian relations. Both countries hold the view that their adversary is the central root cause of conflict in the Middle East. Israel sees Iran as supporting terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah and Hamas in their endeavors to destroy Israel. In contrast, Iran views Israel's imperialist and expansionist policy as a significant cause of instability in the region. The relationship between these two nations has always been a complex one. Israel and Iran once maintained diplomatic relations during the time of the Shah, who saw relations with Israel as a counterbalance to Egypt's pan-Arab nationalism. They collaborated on matters such as oil and military training, with the Israelis secretly training Iran's pilots, paratroopers, and artillery staff. The tension that has existed between the two nations for years has grown increasingly complex in recent years. Both countries would do well to respect the human reality and millennia of Jewish-Iranian friendship and move towards greater cooperation and understanding. Iran's complex relationship with Israel and the U.S. In the book's summary, it is discussed how Iran and Israel faced common threats during the 1950s and 1960s from Soviet-backed Arab nationalism and the Cold War, but those eventually eased. As Iran began to earn more money from oil, its relationship with Israel and the U.S. changed. By the mid-70s, Iran became one of the biggest spenders on defense and accounted for one-third of U.S. arms sales from 1972 to 1977. Iran also lent billions to Arab nations to bolster its weight among them. During the 1973 Yom Kippur War, Iran publicly distanced itself from Israel but continued selling it weapons and oil. Iran selectively pursued its self-interests, which tilted the balance in favor of its historic enemies for strategic ties with Israel. Iran also worked with Israel to support the Kurds' efforts to gain independence from Iraq and Turkey. However, this abruptly ended when the Shah signed the Algiers Accord with Saddam Hussein in 1975, betraying Israel and infuriating Washington. The paradoxical relationship between Iran and Israel. The Israeli Conservative Party's policies on annexing West Bank land and building regional military superiority increased tensions with Iran, pushing the Shah towards aligning with Arab nations. The Shah refused a prominent slot at diplomatic events to avoid being seen as too pro-Israel. In 1979, Iran's Islamic revolutionaries pursued Shia fundamentalism to bridge the gap with Arab nations and become an anti-US powerhouse. The revolutionaries secretly dealt with Israel, buying arms, and allowing Iranian Jews to emigrate. The Iran-Iraq War created a paradoxical strategy for Iran. They dealt with Israel clandestinely despite publicly criticizing Zionism. Iran continued buying arms from Israel from 1980 to 1983 and used Israeli intelligence services to bomb the Iraqi nuclear reactor. The demonization of Israel helped deflect criticism from the Ayatollahs and bolstered their stance among Arab masses. The complex triangular relationship. This summary delves into the intricate political landscape surrounding the US, Israel, and Iran, highlighting key events from the 1980s to the mid-90s. The Iran-Contra affair, centered on weapons sales, freeing hostages, and supporting Contra fighters, was a notable event in the relationship. Despite the U.S. gradually seeking Middle Eastern peace after the Gulf War, the relationship between the U.S., Israel, and Iran remained challenging, with Iran restarting its nuclear program and normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia. The demise of the USSR complicated matters for Israel's relationship with the U.S., while Iran became more militant after being excluded from the 1991 Arab-Israeli peace talks. Israel began to view a nuclear Iran as a global threat, which the US and other parties contested. Iran escalated its attacks on Israel after being excluded from regional negotiations, and the US imposed trade embargoes on Iran. The passing of Yitzhak Rabin saw talks initiated to smooth relations with Iran, instead of listing it as a preeminent threat. The calculated actions of Iran. Iran's seemingly irrational behavior is actually a well-thought-out plan. By appearing unpredictable, Iran believes it can ward off interference from foreign countries. However, this tactic also creates distrust among potential allies and diminishes Israel's strategic position. While a regime change in Iran is not a guaranteed solution, diplomatic discussions may be the best approach for long-term stability. One potential option is to grant Iran more regional leadership, as this could help balance the power dynamics between Israel, Iran, and Sunni Arabs. Ultimately, Iran and Israel will need to reconsider their long-held beliefs if they hope to achieve lasting peace in the region. Any military action against Iran's nuclear sites would be difficult and costly for Israel, given their limited military capabilities.
In A Treacherous Alliance, Trita Parsi sheds light on the intricate geopolitical landscape of the Middle East, focusing on the ever-changing relationships between Israel, Iran, and the United States. By meticulously analyzing diplomatic milestones and secret dealings, Parsi reveals that the tensions between these nations are rooted in their desires for regional superiority rather than ideological or religious differences. Throughout history, Iran and Israel have weathered varying states of cooperation and hostility, forging strategic alliances to counterbalance common enemies. As Iran's pursuit of nuclear capabilities triggers concerns on the global scale, it is vital to comprehend the historical and strategic context of this ongoing rivalry. By understanding the true motivations and complex dynamics involved, readers will have a clearer picture of the challenges and possibilities that lie ahead in resolving the Middle East's enduring conflicts.